Alright guys, how are you doing? This time we'll be dealing with JavaScript and we'll be creating a pop-up form and then a multi-tabs progress bar form. So enjoy the content. Alright, this time we'll take a look on how to build a pop-up form. It will function like this. When we press on a button, a form will appear on the screen so we can fill it out and send it. Then we have control over it. So with the escape key or pressing on this X, we can exit the form. Let's see how it's done. First, we have a little bit of styling to our input fields. We have 4 different styles added to our form. First, we have one model element, and then we have a switch for this model element. Then we have what goes inside of it, and this is styling for the close button. If we inspect the elements of the newly created form, first we will see that we cover everything with this semi-transparent model background, so whatever we have, it will stay on the back. Of course, this can be removed, as you can see, and it has width and height, so it can spread over the whole page, and it's absolutely positioned, which means it will take the whole width and height and will be positioned on the left and top 0, 0 coordinate of the screen. Afterwards, we have this property model visible. So if we don't have this class name inside, we'll see that the form disappears. So the moment we add this class, it appears on the screen. It's using Flexbox CSS representative modeling, and is just aligned and justified on the center of the screen. Of course, you can use just display block here and center it with margin auto. For now, we have chosen this CSS model for displaying the form. For the close button, we see that we have positioned it absolutely in order to be off the form and visually pleasing. We have right and top coordinates coordinating its position, and of course some styling for the color and the background of this particular element. Now we'll take a look at the HTML markup. So we have one activation button for showing up the model box. This is the whole wrapper, which covers the whole page, and the content which displays inside the pop-up form. Now we'll take a look at the script. The whole function of the script is by modifying certain classes to show the form and to attach and remove some event handlers to the different buttons. The first thing we'll do is to grab our model button, which is this one, contact us. So it has class model activate, and we are taking it with document query selector. And if it exists, we add event listener to it. So whenever the user clicks on this button, show model function will be activated. We dive deep inside the show model function. On the first line, we see that we just add model visible, as we demonstrated previously, to the class, and focus on the model element. And then we add another event listener for the model close button. The moment it is clicked, we'll start the function remove model. Also, we add another event listener which will grab and inspect if any key is clicked. This is for usability purposes. So whenever a user clicks on the escape key, the form should be closed. And this is our escape key function. It just checks if the user has pressed the escape key, which has a key of 27. It's an ASCII key, and then starts this function remove model. Here it's important to know that we are passing also the event. So we are grabbing the event key code and checking against this number. The last function is the remove model. In this function, we are simply removing the model visible class. And so we have two removals of the event listeners in order not to pollute our browser capacity. So we are removing the escape key added event listener, and the next thing we are removing the event listener which listens to the click of the X button. And that's it, a very simple code for showing and closing pop-ups.
Next, we'll take a look on how to create a multi-step or progress bar form. So first off, in this form we have 3 steps to be completed. So this is the first screen, and we are splitting the form into steps in order to be useful for the users. So the moment we start clicking on the next button, we see that another part of the form is shown, and of course our navigation bar has changed, and this happens until we go to the end of the form. The same applies to the previous button. So let's see how we can achieve this functionality. On the top of our form, we place one element in which we give a class of progress, and we have active and done circles. This markup represents the whole stuff here. The moment an element is with active class, it's colored with blue. If we remove the active class, we see this is normal, not active element. Next, the form. Actually, this is a little bit of longer form. We have divided the information in the form into 3 sections. So we have section 1, section 2, and section 3. In the section 1, we have personal information. Section 2 is contact information, and the section 3 is payment information. And afterwards, we have 2 buttons, next and previous, which will be used for navigation purposes. Afterwards, we continue with our JavaScript, which can be placed in an external file. We have several functions in the script, and we start by initializing some variables. First off, we get all the sections, all the elements within the section tag with the document query selector all, and we put them into variables sections. Next, we initialize a current section variable and we put 0 inside. This means that we start from the 0 index of the sections. And we get the progress bar. Remember the element with the class of progress, and the 2 buttons, next and previous button. The first action we do with our form is to hide all the sections. So if we don't do this and refresh, we see that the form is pretty long. Actually, within one simple for loop, we loop through all the section length and just add the hidden class to the section elements. It's interesting that this loop starts from the first element, because if we start from the 0 index, even the first section will be hidden. Then we have 2 event handlers, which will be attached to our previous and next buttons. Of course, they start show previous section function and show next section function. Let's take a look at what those functions do. Show next section. The main stuff it does is that it starts another function which hides a certain section and shows another section. Remember, this index current section is 0. So hide show will just, if we are on the first section, it will hide the first one and show the second one. This is done by increasing the our current 0 with 1, and it passes the control to the hide show function. We start with a little bit of check whether the user has pressing the next button, but it's gone to the end of the sections. So we do this, and if this condition is true, we just return from this function, so it will not function and our button will not function. This is the right behavior. Otherwise, errors will be produced to the user. The same is true for the previous section. The previous section checks if the current section is 0. So if the user clicks again on the back button, we are preventing this action. Afterwards, of course, we use the same function show, hide the current section and show the previous one by removing one from the current section index. The most interesting function is called hide show. It accepts two arguments. First argument is what to hide, and second, what to show. In this function, we basically manipulate parts of the section array and parts of the children array of the progress bar. The section array contains inside all those three sections, and the progress bar children is actually those three elements. So we have progress bar children 0, 1, and 2. So by placing certain numbers here, we are just adding classes or removing classes to our sections or to our progress bar children. Let's say that we're passing values from show next section, and we are on the first section and we want to go to the second one. So we passed 0 and 1. Actually, we are having here 0 and here 1. For the sections, we are just revealing the next one and hiding the current one. And for the progress bar, we are just removing the active class from the current one and adding an active class to the next one element. We finish the function by saving into the variable current section, the current displayed section. This is done in order to track which section we have currently displayed to the user. So once again, try the code, and this way you can create nice forms with multiple steps being displayed to the user.
All right, guys, that's for the forms. I hope you enjoyed the information, and if you like the tutorials, you can subscribe to the channel.